Well, hello once again, and welcome to Serving the Sire in 2nd Samuel. I'm Pastor Jeremy Combs here at the Lyford Bible Baptist Church. Here we are, the last, at least last time we'll be together in April. On Thursday, it will be May the 1st, and hard to believe the year is flying by. A fourth of the year is gone. Let me stop and just ask you, what are you doing for the Lord? How are you on your Bible reading? I know, and I don't feel bad. I'm a little behind. I'm about a week behind, but I'm working on catching up with it. But the idea is this: are you faithfully in the Word? Are you faithful in going to church? Is the Word of God being lived out in your life? Well, that is the goal of our Bible studies here on both Facebook, and we're also on YouTube. And what we like about YouTube is that it's a little easier to navigate, and we can keep our collections of books together. And so we're starting a new chapter as we're here in 2 Samuel chapter 15. And I want to quote Warren Wiersbe here. He's got a great book. It's a volume of the Bible exposition commentary. And Wiersbe has a very practical and simple way of putting things. He says, now that the prince was free, remember last time we met, we talked about how that Absalom and David kind of brokered a fragile truce. Wiersbe's going to elaborate on that. He says, now that the prince Absalom was free, he could be visible in the city and enjoy the adulations of the crowd, while at the same time quietly organizing his sympathizers for the coming rebellion. David was about to lose his throne and crown, his concubines, his trusted advisor Ahithophel, and ultimately his son Absalom. It would be the darkest hour of David's life. So we come to chapter 15, the darkest hour in David's life. We know that before he has fled from Saul, but yet at that time he really had little to nothing. Here he has about everything. He's at the pinnacle, or was at the pinnacle 10 years earlier, before glancing at Bathsheba when she was bathing and then furthering it by committing adultery. And now David is beginning to reap the consequences of his sin. And we know already his young baby has died. We know already that Amnon was killed by Absalom. His daughter Tamar has been raped by her half-brother. And now he has a problem with Absalom. And Absalom's problem comes back to a problem that David had, and it's human nature. We like to just put things off. David should have dealt with Absalom. Absalom was guilty of a premeditated murder. Now, he could have had vengeance upon Amnon, or could have brought him before the elders of the city, and Amnon could have been judged and dealt with, and probably would have been stoned or killed. But it would have been in a court or judicial sense, and not just a personal vendetta that Absalom made it. Absalom flees, and we find that David doesn't want to see somebody else killed, so he kind of, in essence, just erases Absalom out of his life, and is sad by that, but also is contented to think it's better this way than for me to have to actually bring him back, judge him, and have him put to death. Well, Joab, looking to usurp himself. There's just so much political turmoil in this thing. It's really fallen man, and that's what we see when we see Washington, D.C. That's what we see as we look here in the book of 2 Samuel. Dog eat dog. You look out for yourself. And Joab brokers a deal with Absalom. David is forced to bring Absalom back. Yes, they kiss each other, which is kind of a, we'll let bygones be bygones, but then David banishes him, in essence, to house arrest. Again, Joab then is brought in to let's seek forgiveness here. And chapter 14, let's make sure that he can get about and around. And so that's where we're at. And David, by not dealing with the problem, has himself a greater problem. Verse number 1, it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. So Absalom was a very outward individual. He was a beautiful man, and he's known for his hair and his good looks, but Unfortunately, nothing is said about his character. And beauty is vain, we're told in Proverbs 31. It's the virtuous woman who is beautiful inside and out. And I think when you're beautiful inside, it helps you to be beautiful outside. Have you ever seen somebody that has given themselves over to sin? And it's amazing. People that will drink or do drugs or just live a hard life, it shows. Maybe not right away, but eventually it shows. And we find that Absalom here is not beautiful inwardly, and eventually, no matter how good the outward appearances are, it's going to catch up with him. And so he puts on this front of, I'm going to be like the king. I'm going to have me a chariot and drive around in it. Make sure that everybody notices. Okay, it's kind of like going and buying an extravagant, fancy sports car. I mean, and you drive it down the street, a limited edition. Everybody's going to look and say, wow, I haven't seen that. Who is in that car? This is what he's doing with the chariot. He's going to have 50 men run before him. He has this big entourage, a security detail. I mean, now when you see him, you know this is somebody that is important. It's so sad that Absalom had to do that. He had to go up and conjure up and play up that he was a VIP important person. David, as you look in the Bible, hardly ever did that. And if he did, we're not told. David was a very important person because of insight. And we're going to find that this is just a facade of Absalom. Verse 2, and Absalom rose up early. It's amazing how evil people will work so much harder than those of us who are godly. The evil man gets up early. The evil man stays up late, where we as believers have trouble sometimes getting out of bed to read our Bible in the morning. Or we have trouble staying up late at night to get a job done that needs to be done for the Lord. Absalom rose up early, and he stood beside the way of the gate. This is where the prominent, this is where the important people dealt with. And more important than that, this is where a lot of judicial problems were solved. This is kind of like standing outside of the courthouse. And it was so that when any man had a controversy, he would come to the king for judgment. Then Absalom called unto him and said, Of what city art thou? And he said, Thy servant is one of the tribes of Israel. So Absalom set himself up in a place where he could intercept these people that were coming. And these people were, by the way, vulnerable people because they were coming with controversy. They were hurt. They maybe even had been wronged. And they were coming very sympathetic and wanting somebody to hear them. And these are the exact individuals that Absalom preyed upon. Absalom is absolutely a dangerous person. He's like a stick of dynamite with maybe a longer fuse that's been lit, but regardless of it, that fuse is lit, and it's going to blow up before you know it. And there's still Absaloms all over the world today, and unfortunately, even in our churches, that they are wanting to make themselves out to be the powerful person, the prominent person. And so they always make sure they go around and they shake the hands of people that are vulnerable in their faith, that maybe they're young believers, or they're people that maybe aren't as, I would just say, not as solid in the faith as they ought to be, or they're going through difficulties or problems, and they're the ones that will come and say, people around here don't care about you. I care, and you know what? I want to help you. And they seek to steal the hearts of other people, and so that they can have a following, okay? And this is what Absalom here is doing. And it is a sad, sad thing to behold. And Absalom said unto him, and by the way, let me back up. Of what city art thou? Oh, we're all of Israel. There was a little bit of still a contingency with David that he had been crowned by Judah, and everybody else came on board, but there obviously was still some disgruntled folks. And so Absalom decides he's going to be of all people. I care about everyone. We see this play out a little bit in Christianity and churches where we have people say, well, we love everybody. We accept everybody. And you come as you are, okay? And we're accepting of anybody coming to the Lord and wanting to come and to be a part of the Lord's work and learn and hear about the Lord. Now, obviously, we cannot compromise the truth. But guys like Absalom do not care about the truth. All they want is a following. All they want is a crowd that can stroke their ego and give them the pleasures that they seek from it. And so Absalom said unto him, See, thy matters are good and right, but there's no man disputed of the king to hear thee. He says, you're right. You've got a problem here. I can't believe that this has gone on. Here's a guy again with the controversy. And he says, you know what? The king ought to be all over this. The king ought to be listening to this. But where is he? Why aren't there people here standing like I am outside the gate looking for poor, innocent, helpless people like you so that we can help them? Wow. Absalom, I would say, is good, but unfortunately he's good to do evil. He is a dangerous, very dangerous individual who is preying upon innocent people. Now, the question of verse 3 has got to be, where is David? There's a couple thoughts on that. One, David is 60 now, and David probably is coming off the 10 hardest years of his life. What made those so hard? Sin. When he sinned, you read in the Psalms, he had stomach issues and his head hurt and his body, he couldn't rise from the bed. It's amazing the toll that sin will take upon our bodies as well with aging. You say, well, David's not that old, and he's just now 60. David has lived a rough life. David has fought and clawed his way, and the years are beginning to take their toll. And so it makes Absalom's coup, I think, doubly bad because he's taking advantage of a dad that may not be able to be there. The second thing would be that David could be just ignoring the problem. And Absalom is down there, and he's just going to pretend like nothing is happening, and everything will be okay. And he's got to deal with this. He's going to deal with it, but it's going to be too late by the time he deals with it. And it was so. Verse number 4. And Absalom said, Moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which had any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice. So he hears the problem. He says, oh, you poor guy. And, oh, yeah, you're right, and the king needs to have this. Boy, I just wish somebody would make me judge. I mean, I would do it for free. I would serve with no recognition. I just think people need justice. People need to get their rights. People have been wronged, and these need to be made right. Oh, man, are we living in a generation of Absaloms today? I think about this, that everybody has been wronged. Okay, and everybody deserves better or more. And when you live your life that way, you are setting yourself up to be misled. Okay, let the Lord work. And these are the people that Absalom is going after. And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand and he took him and kissed him. So when people went to kneel or bow before him, he would basically raise them up and then he'd kiss them. He would say, you don't need to do that to me. You don't have to treat me like you do like you do daddy, like you do King David. I'm the people's king. And we're not going to have any of this authority issue. Everybody will be heard. Everybody will get what is fair. Really, you're looking at Mr. Anarchy, Mr. Absalom. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. Whoa. David has problems. And his problem is one thing. It's Absalom. And it probably, again, is an inactivity on David's part. That he has not been at the forefront in these judging issues. And maybe he hasn't readily been in front of the people like he ought to. And the people begin to feel underappreciated and not liked or loved. And again, where does this all come back to David? It comes back to his sin. His sin has physically spent him. His sin has made him to kind of isolate himself because of the problems of Absalom, the problems of Joab. And boy, sin's consequences sometimes are more severe than we give them credit. So we leave there, only 6 verses today, but we're setting up the darkest hour, a time when David's life is all going to come crashing down, and it's going to begin to unravel even more next time we get together. Hey, God bless you. Be careful who you listen to and who you follow today.